Do any of these things sound familiar to you? Whenever you're in a relationship, you secretly miss the chase of the beginning. When you hear forever, it sounds beautiful, but when you're in a relationship, it feels suffocating. Are you wondering if monogamy is your thing? Are you always comparing your partner to other people? Do you always find yourself lusting after the perfect body or the perfect lover? What if the problem isn't your partner? What if the problem is your brain? Many people nowadays have a sexualized brain. You are not broken, you're not bad, you probably have been conditioned to having a sexualized brain. My name is Annemiek and I am obsessed with the mechanics of finding a forever partner so you can build a marriage that is full of passion, fulfillment, honesty, loyalty, and is based in truth. First of all, I'm talking about the sexualized brain. What is this? Does this mean that if you think about sex in your brain that something is wrong and we need to erase it to become like non-sexual robots? And I am a nun who's going to tell you to keep your hands above the blanket and never think naughty thoughts? That is not at all what I'm saying. Please listen up, and this is what I mean by having a sexualized brain. A sexualized brain is looking at people primarily for what they can mean to you sexually. So if you look at a woman, you do not look at her like, wow, that's a beautiful woman. You look at her like, wow, she's hot. If you are looking at a guy, then you are not looking at, wow, what a handsome man, but that's the guy I'd sleep with. A sexualized brain means that you have been trained in chasing dopamine, chasing a quick high, chasing adventure, chasing short-lived fantasy, short-lived pleasure. As you can see, everything around us is promoting this way of thinking. It gives us the message to look for adventure, to look for the next best thing, to look for pleasure, to look for dopamine. Just in short, I know I'm always talking about dopamine, but we live in a dopamine culture. Read the book Dopamine Nation, by the way. It's great in explaining this. And even if you look at the television, if you look at Netflix, mostly marriage is portrayed as where the wife is the old ball and chain, and the man and the woman and the husband and the wife are more like a company running their errands, and it is not portrayed often as a love affair. If you look at a rom-com, it's, I would say, never about marriage. There are some. Please put them in the comments for positive inspiration. Just to put it very simply, that our brains have been conditioned to dehumanize and to objectify. We are trained to being looked at beautiful women as lost objects. What can they do for me in my fantasy? What can they do for me sexually? We are trained to look at guys if they're hot or if they're muscular. And the thing is that, of course, these things are very nice for us to look at, and they give us a lot of dopamine. Every time you see a new face and you like it, it gives you a rush of dopamine. Every time you meet a new love interest and you can fantasize about what is going to happen, what they will look like naked, etc., etc., it all gives you dopamine. And of course, these things have a function. Your brain has been trained by 4 things mostly. We are trained to look for novelty. Everything we see on social media is about, you need this thing, you need to progress, you need to, did you think about having this mindset? This is the book you should read. This is how you can be more beautiful, more fast, stronger. is always about novelty and improvement. Of course, there are very good things about it. And the other one is always new faces. When you scroll, there are always new faces, one after the other, one even more beautiful than the other. Also with bodies, one body is even more beautiful than the other. And it just gives our brain the idea. Our brain, it's also kind of stupid because it doesn't really know the difference between what it sees online and what it sees in reality. So if you scroll all the time and you see one after the other beautiful island, beautiful country, beautiful person, then your brain assumes that life is a smorgasbord of options and that you should go for the best option, of course. While in reality, we have to deal with who we are, how we look, and what is available to us in real life. And if in most cases that is not what you see on social media, so your brain is like, if you meet like a regular person, it's like, that's not what I'm used to seeing. So then the dopamine doesn't spike as high. That is one way. The other way is that we have scroll culture. We meet a lot through dating apps. I think it's 65% of love affairs that start on dating apps. And it also ingrains in us that you can always swipe and find new, better, different. And this is also a training of your brain, very simple. And then, of course, we have the XXX-rated images and movies we can find anywhere online. And this is to be seen for your brain as a super stimulus. Nothing is creating more dopamine than the chase of rolling around on the blankets with someone. And this is like a super stimulus. These are 4 things that train our brains to dehumanize and to objectify. We all know that Skinner did a lot of conditioning experiments on animals. And I'm sad to say that we are the same as animals and we can be conditioned too. So what we consume a lot, we start to crave. Your brain is like a muscle. What you do often, you get better in. So if you train yourself to be objectifying, dehumanizing is a strong word. What do I exactly mean by that? It is being more and more okay with the fact that you can use other people, of course, with their consent, for their body, their sexuality, and what they can give to you. And also being okay with agreeing with each other that you are not going to deeply emotionally invest in each other, deeply emotionally care for each other. You are both on your own, but you will connect in this particular way. Social media has become an altar of the altar of beauty. It is the altar where we pray as a society. Beauty has become the epiphany, mostly for women, but also for men, more and more. If I look at the Snapchat scroll of my daughter, then I see that 80-90% of her timeline is about skincare, about superficial things, about how to look good, how to be beautiful, how to be attractive. And if it's not about this movie, then this subject, then someone who is looking this part, who is like completely dressed to a certain style, face done up in a certain style, all with the aim of attraction. When attraction becomes the main currency, connection slowly dies. It teaches people that the highest thing you can achieve is to be wanted, to be craved, to be lusted at. You want to be seen. And most of all, validation comes through sexuality. There has been a study, for example, of why women are on Tinder. And everyone assumes that guys want sex, women want relationships. But the thing is that for both parties it was boredom, for number one. Boredom was the main reason people are on Tinder. But the second reason for women is not relationships, it is validation. And the flaw that is in our culture, I feel, is that we have associated validation with sexual validation. So you see a lot of women who are chasing validation through sex. It is an easy way, it's a sure way to get a guy to really see you, to really touch you, to really feel wanted. And because of course it has a downside. Often you see the guys don't stay and you do not really have them. It was just you could have them sexually. And then you see that women also change the narrative in their own head to say, well, I just like this way of living. When we look at the data, we see that in reality, 80% of women feel more lonely, more anxiety after having casual sex. And with guys, it's 70%. So if sex is this wonderful, fulfilling, long-term giving pleasure, then why are we not feeling it? I feel it has to do with having a sexualized brain that puts a lot of emphasis on this short-term, desire-driven, dehumanizing form of connecting, and we put negative emphasis or no emphasis on loyalty, investing in another person, going through things together, living life together, sometimes in monotony and sometimes in high states, but not always. So what does a sexualized brain bring you in the long term? It will leave you with a feeling of restlessness in long-term love. It leaves you feeling always comparing. It leaves you with the grass is always greener syndrome. And always having this faint feeling that there's something better out there. A sexualized brain struggles with devotion because devotion requires depth, not novelty. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people feel like the more sexual stimuli you have, the more passion. So if you have a lot of partners, a lot of different people around you, it means you will have a lot of passion. But when we enter a long-term relationship, we find out it's the opposite. Why is that? That it is because passion requires exclusivity. Desire grows when someone feels chosen, and safety allows depth. When you see your partner and his or her attention is scattered, it's always chasing, it's always open, it's always scanning. We are being taught that that's just human nature. And I'm not saying you should repress it when you see something you like, someone you like. I'm saying something. I'm also, objectifying. So when you have a partner who is always on the lookout, maybe he's always sleeping in your bed or she is always sleeping in your bed, but you feel that he's always scanning, that he is always open or she is always open to being looked at by other people or looking at other people all the time, then something inside you will die because it's too painful. Most people deepest wish is to really, really be seen, really, really be appreciated and really be someone's number one, to really feel like you, who you are devoting your life to, who you are devoting your body to, your partner, that he will cherish it or she will cherish it with a vengeance. When you stop feeding short-term lust, your capacity for real intimacy will grow. If you look at the scientist Peggy Kleinplatz, she did one of the most famous research about extraordinary lovers and how to become one. And she also did a research with people who are in long-term relationships and just asked them a bunch of questions. And also she asked about when they have had the best sex of their lives. And we found out that it's after 50. So when culture tells us it's in having beauty, being young, being virile, all these things, research shows different. If you decide to desexualize your brain, what are the things that you can expect? Well, the first one is that it becomes easier to see your partner as a whole person. And when you see your partner as a whole person, they become more interesting. And if you focus more on them and focus more on who they are and their quirky little details, and you really try to feel interest for that, then everything you focus on becomes more interesting. The things that are being sold to us culturally as being passionate and being wonderful and bringing sexual pleasure are mostly very fast. They are very adventurous. They are very short-lived. It's the one-night stand. It's the adventure you had on a holiday. It's hardly ever shown as the time you had sex with your husband when you were 15 years together and you had seen every little part of each other and you felt like you loved them even more than when you met them. So there's a focus on slower and deeper attraction. I think desexualizing your brain also creates emotional safety, which is especially important for women. Women are very tough and they will not show it very easily, but most women want to feel like they're number one, they're chosen. And safety is one of the highest needs of women. And if you are with a partner who has a loose gaze, then a woman will never truly, deeply feel safe with you. If you focus on depth instead of quick dopamine, then I think you will grow into a love life with having more intense sex, not less. And although I don't think I have ever suffered from a super sexualized brain, I have it in the most common sense. I think everybody has it. That I was also under the influence that I thought that the male gaze, having the male gaze on me was very important, but not just having it in a regular way, but having it in having them look at me with desire. And I feel like practicing the things I just mentioned before has made me much more free. It has made me feel more free from being chained to some feeling a little bit dependent on your worth as a woman, depending on the male gaze. Of course, I still like to hear that I look good or having a compliment. Of course, I like that. But I don't feel like chasing this anymore, or that if I don't have it, my worth goes down. I feel that before I also thought I was free of the male gaze because I was raised a little bit of a feminist, which I'm not anymore. Of course, I'm for equality and equal rights, but men and women are very different. And most of the traditions we had serve a purpose. That's what I've come to find out. Also now in my marriage, I feel more chosen than ever. I feel more desired and beautiful than ever, even though I'm not 20. I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world. I'm very aware. But it's just feeling the devotion of my husband. And I feel I'm giving him similar feelings because my loyalty is to him and only him. So if this sounds like something you would like to try for yourself in your life, then there are a few things you can do if you're interested. It is first to look at your social media. Who are you following? What are you looking at, especially the X-rated movies? It is, the third thing is the fantasy patterns you have. Are they always outside of your partner, always outside of your relationship? Do you have this loop you need to finish? I feel like that's something that happens a lot. You have just trained yourself from being a teenager with a certain routine. It's just like that. And you can just slowly start to, if you are interested, slowly start to put your partner as the main character in your fantasies. Also be gentle with yourself, because this is a process and it is just something that takes time and needs to grow. And when you find yourself comparing your partner again to other people, people online, people in reality, then don't get angry with yourself. Stop, be conscious about it, and retrain. It's not repressing, just retrain. And if it doesn't work the first time, try again. Also, you can train yourself in humanizing. Let's say you're single and you have been trained to look at the body only. Then you can just work on yourself, like asking yourself a little bit of questions, like, who is this person? What would her life look like, or what would his life look like? What's their story? What's behind this person? And make up a little story about what you think, what you see. Focus on their mimics, their facial expressions, and try to see the humanity in this object. And another thing you can do is to focus your desire on your partner. Just aim it intentionally on your partner. Not because you have to, but as a choice. And I promise you, desire becomes powerful when it's focused, not scattered. This, I want to be very clear, this is not about repression. This is about restoration. It is about reclaiming your ability to deeply love another person and be loved. It is not that you lack passion. You lack focus, and focus can be trained. If this resonated with you and you would like to hear more, please consider subscribing and liking. And let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt restless in a good relationship? If so, please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.